Welcome to episode 116 of the XrmToolCast. In this episode, Scott and I speak with Leo Russo and Rudy Althof, two developers that live on opposite sides of the Atlantic Ocean that together have created the Power-Apps Tools website. Basically, if you haven't used it before, it's like the best clipboard you can imagine for Canvas apps development. Being able to copy YAML and PowerFX and SVG stuff, just lots of different stuff you can copy and paste, and it's a wonderful tool to be able to share your own stuff as well. They even have a leaderboard, and of course, tons of Capybaras. So, if you haven't used the tool before, or you're interested in looking at small, cute road images, then definitely check out the tool. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the XrmToolCast. With me, your host, Daryl, always raising the bar, and Scott, if it's not backlit by pink lights, it's not worth it, Daryl. Scott, how's it going?
It's all about the lights, all about the ambient mood lighting. Yes,
it totally is.
And that was cool. But the cool thing about when we recorded last time, right? We had that cool ambient lighting in the background when we were at PPCC.
Yes.
So yeah, it was. That was really cool to kind of get together and do it face to face.
Yes, face to face is always better than what we have now. What we have now is great. I mean, this wouldn't be possible, 40 years ago, but we do it this day.
But I'm not sure who caught the dreaded lurg off each other, because I came down with it and then you came down with it as well. It's like,
yes.
Did I catch it from you, Daryl? Or did you catch it from me? That's the thing.
I had a really good delay, so it wasn't until so we left on Thursday. It wasn't until a week and a few days later before I started feeling kind of crummy. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's a long time to go.
What stays in Vegas doesn't stay in. What happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas, apparently.
Nope. Nope. Still haven't.
We got a souvenir, but hopefully I'm going to be better by the time. I've still got a bit of but better. I'm traveling to Scottish Summit in Aberdeen, hence why I'm wearing my Scottish Summit t-shirt. And so I'm doing a workshop there, a pro dev workshop. Well, it's kind of like, do you want to be a developer? It's like an introduction to development on the Power Platform.
Okay.
I'm currently prepping for that, and of course, I'll be teaching a lot of copy and paste from Stack Overflow. Because that's primarily the skill that you need. Although I suppose these days it's more about Copilot, so we'll be doing Copilot as well.
Yeah.
But talking of copying and pasting.
Yes. I was wondering where you're going with that, but I was kind of saying that's a fairly basic tool, right? And it's always good to have tools on our tool belt.
Exactly.
And that's why today we have the maybe relatively generically named, but nevertheless important Power-Apps Tools from our creators Rudy and Leo. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having us here.
I'll do the quick little introduction here. So we'll do Leonardo Russo is a Power Platforms driving innovation and empowering business solutions from Brazil. And then we have Rudimar, Baesso, Althof. Okay, I'm sorry. Me and names not that great. But anyway, Power Platform, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Dataverse. Those are your LinkedIn profile information. So if you wonder where I got that from, if you want to improve that next time, feel free to do so. But how are you, gentlemen?
The show, Rudy, Leo. Really great to see you.
Right. Great. Yeah. Thanks for having us, guys. It's really a pleasure to be here, sharing this passion that we have for Power Platform in bringing innovation, building tools, and all of this stuff. I'm really pleased to be here. And yeah, let's say from my LinkedIn profile, let's say Power Platform developer. That's all.
You're amongst friends, definitely.
And Rudy, you're in Portugal, correct?
Yes. Right now I'm in Lisbon, in Portugal, but I'm also from Brazil.
So, also from Brazil. Okay, so there is that sort of connection. Obviously, Portuguese is another connection you would have. So this Power-Apps Tools, what is it, or when did you guys create it? And let's go through what it is at first. What is it? What is Power-Apps Tools?
First, though, before that question, Daryl, like what's the deal with the Capybara? I mean, is it like special reference? I mean, I know. I guess it kind of comes from your area. I mean, do you have them in your backyard? I mean, like, you know, do they come? Do you feed them? Do they? I mean, I have no experience with them apart from, like, I think I may have seen one in a zoo when I was a kid. You know, I learned, I think, what they're like, the largest rodents or something. And yeah, kind of look like massive guinea pigs as far as I'm concerned. So when you open up Power Apps Tools, you firstly see this cute capybara. What's the deal?
This was Rudimar ideas. I'll let him explain.
Yes, there's not much story behind it, just because capybaras are nice. We already see videos about capybaras. They are walking together. They are chilling. That's the feeling that we want to pass to who uses the sites. We want people to be relaxed because the site will help, and also because it's.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's the best answer ever. They're cute, they're chilled out, and we want everyone to be more capybara.
Everyone
more capybara.
Loves a capybara. There's no way to hate one, I think. So, fine.
Yeah, they're very friendly.
It's just brilliant, just perfect. I'm gonna adopt this as my ethos in life now. Totally.
Yes, be a capybara. Capybara feelings.
So sorry. So now we've got that out of the way, because it was just going to be, you know, it was just going to be eating away at and I would not be able to concentrate on anything else until I got that out. So thank you for entertaining it. Let's now go to the serious question that Daryl posed. Is like, after you get past the capybara question, you then prompted with Power Apps Tools. What is it? Where did it come from? What was your inspiration?
Go ahead, Leo.
Right. So I was looking for this new YAML feature in Power Apps, and I was just wondering how that could improve development. And I first created like a mini website where you could just copy and paste some YAML just for fun, just for testing. And I made a post on LinkedIn, and apparently people love it. And then me and Rudimar, we start to getting more ideas on how that could actually be a real tool for real use cases, and that's when we started this project.
Yeah, I mean, the copy and pasting of from YAML. I mean, that's really been a huge, almost, it was sort of revolutionary overnight. You know, suddenly we have this ability to share code, which we'd never been able to do in the Power App space. I mean, like I was saying about copying and pasting from Stack Overflow, it was never copy and paste from Stack Overflow. It was always like, step 1, click here. Step 2, type this formula in. Step 3, drag this there, go in there, do a handstand, do some yoga. You know, it was always very, very complicated to follow instructions. But now you can just go copy, paste, and then you've got exactly what someone had, a code snippet that someone had created. So that it's amazing that you were talking about, you know, getting people's interest on LinkedIn, and how you then that prompted you to create the tool, because that's where all the best tools come from. Is where, hey, there's some interest here. You know, like, oh, that's sort of like, well, maybe I should invest some time in here, and then suddenly you find your weekends and your evenings are consumed by a passion. It's like, you know, how far did you get on your first release? What did your first release do of Power Apps Tools?
I think we had converter for SVG. That's another stuff. So you can just paste an SVG as text there, and that converts into a PowerFX formula that you can just paste there in Power Apps. And we had I think the formulas also, right, Rudy? That you can just
yes, that was for the first release we did after your first draft, right? The first draft had just two buttons with 2 YAML codes, so people could copy and paste. And then after that, we did this version that has the snippets, the YAML, the YAML snippets, the conversion from SVG to FX, functions, named formulas, that's also in preview, and icons, also more than 2,000 icons that come from Bootstrap. So it's all in this tool, all in this website. From this first idea that Leo posted, we talked and we were thinking how we can aggregate several things that are very useful for people who develop Canvas app. So how can we speed the process to reuse things, right?
Mm. So how do you two guys know each other? I mean, do you work on apps together? I mean, you've worked on stuff before?
Yeah, we worked together before, like, I think 4 years ago or more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's when we first met. And we were both developers, power up developers in a team. And we kept this friendship for a long time because I produce YouTube content in this area, Rudimar too. So we have many interests in common that kept us together through this journey.
Yes,
that's awesome. At the Power Platform conference in Vegas that we just got back from, Thomas Stomk, the CEO of GitHub, was interviewed by Ryan Cunningham. It was a fantastic interview. And actually, one of the things he said was open source software is the biggest team sport in the world. It's things that everyone really gets together, and it's amazing to kind of hear these stories where people kind of come together over an idea and a shared kind of vision for something, and then really sort of work together to create something quite special. Because if you go to what's the URL again? It's powerappstools.fly.dev.
Yes,
that's the URL. Fly.dev, that was the first thing. That was the second thing, actually, after the Capybara. Then it was like fly.dev. Where does that come from?
We didn't buy a domain yet.
Right.
Yes, that's
okay.
just
So is that like a kind of an application hosting platform? What's the?
Yes, there's a platform to host the website, and the domain ends with fly.dev. Just because of that, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Not familiar with that. Now we are. So that's
good. It's quite cool. Because you go in and the homepage, you're presented with like boost your Power Apps development. And then you've got down the left-hand side, you've got YAML, SVG-to-FX, Power FX functions, icons, leaderboard. So is this a kind of is it like a static website? What's the hosting platform? Is it a ASP.NET or Next.js, or what's the language you've used?
Go ahead, Leo.
I'll let you answer.
Right. This is something that Leo was studying and discovered. It's in Python. There is a library called Flat that we program that's always in Python, and it renders as a Flutter app. So it's also for mobile, for desktop, for website. So basically it's Python running that and rendering the controls. Yes.
Neat.
Yeah. We are saving that in a database that's also online, the SOPA base. It's on top of PostgreSQL, if I'm not wrong. It has an API, so we use the API, and that's it. That's the stack. And we use GitHub. We do this merge, pull these things. We work together. So I work, Leo works, and we join things, and then we publish the prods. And there is this fly.io. That's the platform that hosts it. That's
cool, because we love to hear about what goes on behind the scenes. It's not all about the low code, right?
Yes, this one doesn't use low codes. Yes, the platform is for low code, but we use codes.
Yeah, it's the way the world works.
Yeah,
this framework is very friendly, right? Python is a very friendly language, and this framework allows you to develop these web applications and rendering in Flutter. And I think that was an important point to make this project go so fast. We did everything, I think, in 1 month. And I'm proud to say we never did one meeting. We always was just chatting and are you doing something or not? And we just do the commits in this way. So yeah,
You did it all without a single meeting. Is that like a badge you get? Like, I create stuff without meetings.
We didn't even talk about the features. We just did what we wanted to do. We used the extreme go horse methodology. But now that's public, we need to take more care because we need to control the versions once we publish so we don't break.
No, you just churn it out there. People are very forgiving. It's,
it's
progress over perfection.
We call in preview when there are bugs.
The cost of the tool allows you to fix bugs whenever you want, and people can't complain. Because the tool's free.
That's right, exactly.
Yes.
You have that going for you there.
You can give people a discount if they find a bug. Maybe that's the way it works.
Yes, we do a reverse.
But it's funny you're saying about there's an easy framework to use, and because in a sense that's what I've always said this. I say this at pretty much every conference. People are probably sick of me hearing it from me now. But it's like software development is always about low code. It doesn't matter what language you're using. You could be using Python or you could be using PowerFX. It's all about writing less code because we don't want to actually write code. We want to make business value. We want to make cool stuff, and the less lines of code we can do to get the cool stuff, the better. So it's really neat to hear that you looked for a platform that enables you to do things quickly, and having that one meeting and be able to kind of flesh things out. I heard a lot of people kind of having meetings and using Copilot now to actually create documentation for them or create project plans. So you say you use the transcription of your meeting and then the summary from Copilot, and you say, right, create a document out of that, create me a plan. I wonder if you could do the same, like actually get GitHub Copilot to take a transcription of your meeting and then write the software for you. Now that would be an interesting thing to do. Especially when I go off on Capybaras. What would happen there? What would GitHub Copilot do? It'd probably use a capybara as the logo, so you'd probably end up with what you've got, right?
So that's the trick. It was actually all created with AI. They just didn't tell us until now. So there is a login with LinkedIn button. Can anyone log in at their own LinkedIn profile, or is that something that you have to set up ahead of time?
Yeah, you can log in with LinkedIn, and the idea behind that was that we wanted people to participate as a community and get recognition by the snippets they are uploading there. And right now we have 80 users registered, which we didn't expect.
Well, I'm trying to make it 81, and I'm getting an error. So on the show, we always have homework for people. So you give up your time, you create these tools, you give it to this community, and then we ask you to do more. We give you homework. So my homework is to say, why when I go to log in and I say, yes, I want to share my information with the Capybaras of the world, I just get a pretty print, detail, invalid state. That's all I get as a response.
Sometimes that's happening. If you try opening a private window, it may work. I don't know if something with cache.
All right. So I'll see if...
Try that while I say something else. This login with LinkedIn, so the person needs to be logged in to submit the snippets, because then we can get the LinkedIn URL and the picture to add to the rank that we have. And also, once you are logged in, you can favorite snippets. Because imagine we have thousands of snippets in the future, if it goes well. Then we want to see your favorites to access quickly. Then you can do that. So we need to identify. That's why you have the login.
I think this is probably a record. Daryl's handing out homework on minute 18 of podcast. We normally try to reserve it to the end so that we don't end up just barraging, because then we go off on one and then it's oh, hang on a minute, we just spend the last 30 minutes giving people work to do. But it's the fun part. It's the best part. It's collaboration, right? We're collaborating together. But it's copying the YAML. So you go in there, and the first one actually I see is animated button with loading state. So what you're doing here is you're creating sort of little pieces of functionality that people would use over and over and over again in their applications. And that's one of the things about copy and paste, is that it's okay, if I'm going to do the things over and over again, then I should have somewhere that's easy. But it's also, I suppose, it's about discoverability of techniques, because someone may not know how to do an animated button with loading state. So you kind of got like, two sides of things. How far do you see this as an educational tool versus a, like a practical day-to-day? And the reason I ask is that obviously we have Power App canvas components, or to create like reusable pieces of functionality. That's another an alternative to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's it opens also a path for education, and seeing other people's techniques, other people's codes that you can incorporate to your day-to-day development. So the example that you mentioned there, the button that had the loading thing, I found that interesting. I was wondering how the guy did that, and that's one example that I'm discovering something that someone has done, and maybe I can adopt their techniques. So I think it's another point as well.
Yeah, the first time we had Christine on, and she was going through like how you can do this, you do that, and you can change this SVG, like all this stuff. I was like, what? I didn't even think of this as being a possibility, and like you've done all this stuff, and like this is amazing. Yeah, and I see like there's so many things on here you can just be going through, like over your lunch hour. Oh, what's this thing? How do they get this to work? And you can just it's as much a learning site as it is a use what they have and utilize it site. You know what I mean? So it's very, very helpful. And then also, and finally, before I let Rudy speak here, Scott, they actually have somehow already done their homework, because I was able to actually eventually log in. So not only was this the earliest homework we've ever gotten, but they've actually done it before we even finished it. So I think that's the quickest homework ever done as well. So we are breaking records, lots of records here on this episode of the XrmToolCast. So.
Yeah,
Rudy, you're going to say something?
Yes, I was going to say that Scott mentioned that we have the reusable components for Power Apps. We can also use this, for example, to see what's possible to create, bring to our app, and convert to a component. I just need to know how to create a component and then make that reusable through my company. It's also an option. For example, if I see a pop-up or a button, I convert to that components after I learned how to do it and start using.
And I think that's kind of the natural process that most people go through, right? When they use this kind of stuff, because when they're learning and then, okay, well, I'm going to build a button with a spinning, please wait thing on it, then you might use it just once. And you're like, okay, great, works, fantastic. And then you might find, oh, I need it somewhere else. And then you might copy and paste it and use it somewhere else. And then suddenly you want it in a different app. And then that's the mentality of like, well, hang on a minute, I'm just using the same code over and over again. So why don't I just create like a reusable component out of this? And so, yeah, it's kind of that grow up story of getting more mature in the way that you're using your controls, because there is a price to pay, right? When you're using a reusable component, there's more maintenance, especially if you're using it in multiple places. You need to make sure if you change it, it's not going to break in every place you use it, which of course when you're copying and pasting you don't have that problem, but of course does mean if you do want to change it everywhere, you've got to go and go and search out and find everywhere that it's in use.
Yeah.
So under the Power FX functions, I've noticed, Rudy, you're the only one that's submitted anything. Is that because you are like the only genius person? Or is it because like what
are you trolling Leo right now? I think you might be calling him out. I think
maybe Leo's got other special abilities, besides Power FX functions.
Yes, that's I think almost no one is using it. I may be wrong, but it's recent and people don't use much, especially because it's still in preview. But I already created that, so once people start using, they can put theirs. And once I have an idea, and I go develop something and put in there. And there's then I separated the rank by YAML and PowerFX functions, so I can be the owner. The winner. Sorry, English.
So I'm also wondering if there's like a section as we get more low code plugins, if some of those PowerFX snippets might make sense to be in that PowerFX section as well, because right now it's very Canvas app heavy, right? But I don't think there's any reason that you couldn't be like, hey, here's a PowerFX formula to calculate
Yes.
a week from today, or something that you might have to do quite often in a low code plugin. That would be helpful to have that little code snippet out there. So, so I spent like an hour, which is probably far too long, being frustrated with the formula bar in Canvas apps, overlaying the sides of my property window and my other window. And so I hacked together a JavaScript like code that would go through and edit the CSS and reformat that for me. I almost wonder if it makes sense to somehow try to squeeze it into Power Apps tools. It's because it's unfortunately in the Canvas apps editor, the actual the formula bar is in an iframe. And so if you just try to run code when you open up the tools and run a code like a bookmarklet to get that to work, it will fail because it's trying to access something that's in an iframe, and so you can't do that. It's cross, it's your cores issue. So you have to like open it up. You have to open up the debugger. You have to like select the formula bar in like the HTML selector. So now you're in the context of the actual iframe, and then you can actually run the code base. So it's really, really annoying. But at least it gives you a pretty formula bar. So I was almost wondering if it makes sense to try to shove it in as hey, this is a copy paste sort of thing from there. But who knows? Maybe should have a bookmarklet section where people have bookmarklets.
Because these things, most people just go, I'm just gonna get used to it. I'm just gonna suck it
Not
up.
developers.
Well, you're like, no, I'm in there. I'm in the HTML. I'm in the JavaScript. It's all over the floor, and I'm picking that. And then, how long? Come on, how long did it actually take you, Daryl? You say a couple of hours, right? Well,
no, it really was only like an hour and a half.
Okay,
to do it.
all right.
So, and then there's another hour figuring out why it didn't work and figuring out cores and figuring out how to fix that. So I even asked Microsoft if they'd be willing to select or set up cores so that it would be so I could actually run the JavaScript on the actual form. They said no to that option. I was like, come on. But then they did suggest some other options that I really like, and I hope they actually come through with. But we'll see.
Yeah,
hold my
definitely. So on the topic of homework, one of the things that in advocacy at Microsoft, we have it's PNP. It's the PNP/Power Platform Snippets GitHub repo. And it's kind of the same thing, right? So we've got snippets for Power Apps, the YAML stuff, but we also got stuff for Copilot Studio, across the board, Power Pages, so when you submit a snippet, and I love the fact that you have a leaderboard. It's like gamify everything. If there's a leaderboard involved, that somehow creates in me that everything is a competition sense, and then I'm like, I need to be on the top of that leaderboard, and I'm drawn in. But do you, when you submit something, do you storing it in GitHub, or where's it actually stored? What's the back end?
Right, it's the database, Supabase. It's in a table in that database.
Could you actually have it as an indexing and surfacing of the PNP snippets as well? If you have another GitHub, could you, actually have a way of bringing in almost like an aggregator of multiple different places to then, because if let's suppose that it does become the de facto place that everyone's going to search for snippets, and you've got this really pretty user interface, and you've got this ability to favoritize stuff and show ratings and all that kind of stuff. It's almost like if you think about podcasts like us, there's aggregators of podcasts. There's the individual sources, be it Spotify or whatever, Apple, and but then you have these places where you bring it all in together, and then you can see a list of podcasters and search them and see the ratings and all those kind of things.
Right. You mean bringing the ones from GitHub to the Power Apps tools, or the contrary, from Power Apps tools to GitHub? Yeah,
exactly. So you can sort of point it at different GitHub repos and say, all right, this is where all the snippets are from different places, and then sort of aggregate them together, and then be that search engine and rating engine and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, then we can create a hub from many different sources and have it all in one place. That's it's good. Yeah.
Yes, that seems possible. because today you have connection with everything, right? You can load from the GitHub, import in the database, or vice versa. Yes, I was even doing a custom connector to bring this to Power Apps, for example, so we could approve the snippets that someone submits without needing to create an interface with code. So we can use low code, for example. We can integrate it.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's very cool. And the other thing is that one of the challenges with snippets, and I find this a lot, is so you copy the snippet and then you paste it, and quite often there's certain things in that snippet that you want to parameterize. It's kind of like the control thing, where you would say, okay, well, if you've got if you're showing a gauge control, what variable do you want to bind that gauge to show the value of it? And typically what you do when you do that is you paste it and then you go in and find where that variable is. And quite often that's a bit of a search. You've got to, it's almost like you've got to paste the code into Notepad first and look at it and then find where the variables are that you need to replace and then copy it and then paste it. So it's like a two-stage thing. What would be really cool is if, let's say you did have this ability to connect to the advocacy PNP GitHub snippets, if you'd have some sort of templating mechanism in there, so that when you, in your user interface, when you copy it, it presents you with a page to say, right, now parameterize your snippet. What variable do you want to use to bind to this gauge? What color do you want your gauge to be? That kind of thing. And then it parameters and copies it, and then you've got it all ready to paste.
Yeah. This was something that I was thinking for the icons first, because when you copy the icon from the website, it's always going to be black. But maybe we can have a feature there to change the color first. Select the color and you copy, and when you paste in the app, is already with that color. It's a simple one, but yeah, for these other components, we could have more inputs.
That sounds like the type of thing you need a meeting in order to actually accomplish.
No, that goes against the policy of the website.
So I did check out the leaderboard. And Scott, I don't know if you've checked out the leaderboard, but Rudy is number one. Leo, you're third. So you're kind of slacking here, buddy. But it's beautiful. It's pretty. Like I am always admiring people that make things pretty and whatever, and just pleasing to the eye. I do not make things pleasing to the eye ever, and I just love it. It's just well done. I have to say there. Yes. And Leo, I expect next time we talk that you get up to number 2. I don't know how. You get a couple more likes. I don't know if you figure out how to get a couple more people to star your stuff, but yeah, you need to pick it up, man.
No, I would get that directly on the database. I would change that.
Yeah, there you
yes.
go.
Yes, but I did the Power BI, and there is something in the Power BI that keeps me in the top, so you cannot change the database.
You've got a cheat code, basically. You've built in a cheat code.
Yes, it just varies from the second place to the last. The first one is always fixed, hard-coded.
It's not even dynamic. It's just an image that you put in there.
Yes.
In the Power BI.
No, it's dynamic. There's a logic that accounts by the number of snippets and number of stars. So someone may have just one snippet with a lot of stars, then this person may assume the first place.
Yeah. And if any of our listeners are looking to get on the leaderboard, all you need to do is submit a function, a PowerFX function of some sort, and you're guaranteed to be at least second because no one else has submitted that one. So you could be on the board as of this.
I'm doing it now. I'm doing it.
Yes. Scott could be on the board, and you can put it, take a picture of it, put it on the wall right next to your MVP and your Microsoft
absolutely.
stuff. Yeah, great.
But I do think that I need to be cartoonized as a capybara, though. I think if I'm going to be on that leaderboard, I think you need to link it into DALL-E 3 or something, and have some like an AI OpenAI DALL-E 3 model that you can just sort of go, right, make me a capybara. Here's my picture, profile picture. Now make me into a capybara. That's what I want.
Correct. At the moment someone logs in, we don't start the picture. We should cartoonize everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my condition. Then I might grace the leaderboard.
It's funny. Well, anything else that we're missing on the tool, or anything else that we haven't covered with it? I mean, it's primarily like a copy, and it's your best copy. It's your best clipboard, right? It's your PowerFX Canvas apps friendly neighborhood clipboard. It's kind of what that is, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's it so far.
Yeah.
For now, yeah.
I feel as though I feel as though you've trivialized it a little bit there, Daryl. I mean, I suppose in a sense, it's like simplicity is the key, right? If you've got a simple way of describing it, it's like the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we are the Power Apps clipboard. This is what we do.
The simplicity is part of the feature. It's like so like when I get into like a Tesla, whatever their speedier model is. I test drove one the other day. It was awesome. When you push on the accelerator, you just go. There's no like, hey, wait for the engines to speed up, and then RPMs get going, the torque, and then finally you start moving. You're just gone. And it's just that sort of fun of being like, all right, if I push my foot down, now I'm gone. It's the same sort of, it's the simplicity of it makes it beautiful.
I love the fact that you just discovered electric vehicles, Daryl.
No, I didn't just discover that. I just discovered
the rest of the world's like, wait, where's it been? It's like, yeah, you press the pedal and it just goes because it's electric. It doesn't actually use any kind of.
No, I mean, I've driven. So I rented a electric vehicle when I was in Colorado, which I actually wouldn't recommend in the Colorado area unless you're going to be very close to wherever you're dropping it off at. But anyway, I went through 3 different vehicles because my son was very particular. He wanted to have, they sell you the Mach-E Mustang. And they give you like a Chevy Bolt. I'm like, oh, come on, this is not the same type of vehicle here. So yes, so they're even amongst those types of vehicles. When you're in the top of the line, like sports or like Tesla one, that one will take your hat off. So yes, it's it's not that I haven't discovered them before.
Power Apps Tools, the Tesla of clipboards.
Yes, the Tesla clipboard. Yes. I like it. Well, Leo and Rudy, is there anything else that you'd like to share? If not, how can our listeners get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, just one thing that you mentioned about the PowerFX formula. I feel that pain too. I hate that formula bar, and I also try to manipulate many times using JavaScript, as you mentioned, is iframe, so there's a limitation there. I even tried to create an extension to do that, but I gave up. That's the way it is.
Well, I'll send you my snippet that I got, and you're welcome to know that it's annoying that you have to open up developer tools and then go and select the actual iframe, and then you can run the JavaScript, and then it's not responsive. So like if you resize anything, it's stuck at the width it is. But if you are working in an app for like 4 hours at a time, boy, does it make your life a whole lot better. At least it makes my life better. So
I wonder how many other people have tried this. I mean, there's already like 50% of us on this call, this podcast that have tried this. I mean, Rudy, have you tried it? Because
No, I haven't.
So if we like extrapolate that, because statistically this is definitely a good sample. So 50% of Power Apps developers have actually tried to hack the formula bar. That's a statistic we should give back to Greg, right? Greg Lindors.
Yes, because they don't want us to be doing these hacks. Like they don't want that. So yeah, what the ideas they have, I love. I'm like, great. If you can do that, great. Then do it.
Maybe there is a bounty for that.
Done yet. Yes. All right. Anything else that we're missing, guys?
No, not from my side. Basically, if anyone who is listening here, don't be shy. Post your snippets in there. Try to get to the top of the leaderboards. And
Yeah.
Beat
it's a
Rudy.
very good tool to share. Yes, yes. I dare you to beat
Time to get
me.
Rudy off of there.
Yes. Yes, don't be shy, even if it's very simple. It may be useful for someone. And I myself use that as my library of snippets. If I'm doing an app, for example, and I see something that I can put in there, I just put, let's say, a pop-up, a delete pop-up, something like that. Then in the next app, I know where to get without needing to search through all my apps. So it's that's my invite. Put your snippets in
I
there.
like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And if you have any question, then you can reach me on LinkedIn. Even in the website, there is the link to my LinkedIn, or just by the name here in the call. I'll be happy to talk about.
All right. So get Rudy on LinkedIn. Leo, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach me through LinkedIn. You're going to find my profile on the website as well. And feel free to reach me out if you have any questions, need any support, need to report any bug. Just come after us.
Yeah. And I could say, if you just keep on trying again, you can get logged in. I don't know what it was, but even in the incognito mode, I had to do it twice, and the second time worked. So don't give up. So keep on. You can do it. You can get logged in. You can have.
And if you try a lot of times and you're not able to do, then you just reach the customer support. We'll be happy to give a reimbursement.
100%
full
refund.
refund. Yeah. Full refund.
Yes.
Reissued. Yes. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, Scott, that's how our listeners can get over our guests. How can our listeners get a hold of us?
Well, Daryl, yes, you can email us at cast@xrmtoolbox.com, get us on socials at XrmToolCast, and we would love to hear from you. And yeah, remember everyone, be more Capybara. It's been fantastic to talk to you, Rudy and Leo. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Everyone can use a little more Capybara in their life. Yes, I know.
Yes, thank
Awesome.
you guys for the invitation. Sorry, I interrupted. But...
It's great. It's great getting to meet you guys for the first time, and great being able to showcase your tool. And I hope all of our 10 listeners will share it amongst their friends. So. That's Scott and R's ongoing stick that we only have 10 listeners, but it keeps on getting better. So, all right, Rudy, Leo, great meeting you, and hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been the XrmToolCast with Daryl and Scott Darrell, produced by Lynn Zawin. If you have any questions or suggestions, please send them to cast@xrmtoolbox.com, tweet @XrmToolCast, or hit us up on our LinkedIn XrmToolCast page.